right, everyone, a quick recap of Czechia versus South Africa today. This game, no two ways about it, was defined by a dodgy penalty given with about 10 minutes left in the second half in favor of South Africa. It was a dodgy penalty. There's no two ways about it. The Czechia player who got awarded the handball against, he did have his arm in a quite natural position, I thought. I don't think that can be debated. Yes, it wasn't like in a non-natural position like this, anything like that. It was pretty close to his body. The only thing you could argue, though, is that the Czech player did make what could be seen as a deliberate movement, kind of like this with his arm and his elbow. If you do interpret that he did that deliberately, even if his arm is pretty close tucked into his body, if you deem that to be done deliberately, then there's no question about it that the penalty was correctly given in favor of South Africa. However, if you deem that to not have been done deliberately, then you would think that the penalty was incorrectly given. It depends on which side of the fence you sit on. I think it's one of those very dodgy decisions that had it been given the other way and the referee had not given a penalty on the field of play, I'm not sure if this is the kind of decision that VAR can retroactively go and call the referee, because it's not a clear and obvious error. Although I suppose we've seen stranger things happen. I suppose maybe they would have called the referee if she hadn't awarded a penalty. Who knows? But either way, South Africa dispatched the penalty and tied the game 1-1 and got an important point, which keeps them alive in the tournament. Had they lost today, they would have been out. They would have been out. It would have been almost certainly done. Okay, a point keeps them alive in the tournament. However, I think both teams will have some regrets, I think, in this game, more on the Czechia side. Czechia scored first in this game. Czechia actually scored in both their group games so far. Scored first against Korea, lost that game. Scored first today against South Africa, drew this game. So I think Czechia will be particularly disappointed with their approach, especially in the second half, especially after the hydration break in the second half. They decided to just sit back and protect the lead, and were happy to just give possession to South Africa. I think that was very dangerous to do at 1-0, and there was too much time left in the clock. Almost all the second half, especially after the hydration break, there was still 30 minutes left, or whatever still to play. You can't take that position if you're Czechia with that long still to play. I think it was a very dangerous approach to take. And at the end of the day, even if that penalty decision was dodgy, in my opinion, it was dodgy, even if it was dodgy, I think Czechia deserved what they got and deserved to not win this game, because that approach was the wrong one to take at that time of the game. If there's only, say, maybe 10 minutes left to play, maybe at that moment in the game, you sit back and you protect your lead. But you don't do that with 30 minutes, whatever it's still to play. I think that was the incorrect approach to take, and at the end, I think Czechia deserved what they got, even if the penalty might have been dodgy. It depends on which side of the fence you take. As far as South Africa, their performance was not great in the first half. They improved in the second half. They got much more possession of the ball, but they weren't exactly effective with that possession of the ball. They weren't effective and didn't produce enough high-quality chances. Lacked some quality there. So at the end, it's difficult for me to argue that South Africa deserved much more than a draw at this game, even if they did have lots of possession. Again, a point keeps them alive in this tournament, but maybe they'll have some regret that if they had a little bit more quality in some of those possessions, they could have created more high-quality chances and could have been more clinical in the chances that they created and won the game. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, Czechia will play their last group game against Mexico, and I'm going to talk about Mexico against Korea in my other video, but Mexico beat Korea, which means that Mexico has already guaranteed first spot in the group, which means that Mexico is going to play their second string team, almost certainly. Mexico will almost certainly play their second string team in the last group game they play against Czechia. This favors Czechia, okay? This means that Czechia, in theory at least, has a high chance of getting a win against Mexico in that last group. And even if that game is in Mexico City, it must be said, okay? Yes, and if Czechia were to win that game, they will qualify. There's no doubt about it. The only thing that will be left to be determined is whether Czechia would qualify as second or whether they would qualify as third or one of the best third place teams in the group. But if Czechia wins, they qualify. Anything other than a win, Czechia is out. There's no two ways about it. The scenario is quite similar for South Africa. South Africa plays South Korea in the last game. Basically, they need a win. Okay, they need to beat Korea. Same scenario as Czechia. If they beat Korea, they will qualify either as a second place team or as one of the best third place teams. Okay, anything other than a win, South Africa's out. It's as simple as that, really. Not much more to it. All right. We're looking forward to the next round of games. If you like this kind of content, subscribe and give a like to the video and comment down below.